Yes, there we go. All right.
On the cloud.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the May 10th meeting of the Bowmanville Rotary Club. Welcome to Alan, who is our guest speaker today, who will be more formally introduced in a few moments. So welcome. Lisa, I believe you have our invitation this morning.
I do. Good morning, everyone. May we have the wisdom to know what is right. May we have the compassion to feel what is right. May we have the strength to do what is right. And may we have the character to defend what is right.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, I don't have music for O Canada.
That's good. That's probably our day will start.
Okay. Yeah, if everybody wants to stand, and yeah, I tried last week.
We'll give it a
Our home and native land, to which you love, with ours dominate, with loving hearts we see the rise of true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
As we're standing, we'll also toast to Her Majesty the Queen, Canada and Rotary International.
Canada and Rotary International.
Thank you. Our land acknowledgement. I'm going to ask the club if anybody wants to participate in the land acknowledgement going forward. If you would like to provide it to the club, please just let me know. I'm going to use the same one I did last week, which adopted people are often raised with an elevated level of appreciation for the gifts and opportunities given to them. As adopted people on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, let us continue to offer our gratitude to Indigenous peoples for their care of the land and commit to continue our care of this sacred land for generations to come. Steve Code, let's do Sergeant at Arms before our speakers, seeing as how they're in person. We don't need to.
Okay, let's make this easy. Everybody get their money out. You might as well get it ready. Yeah, if you remember back in the old days, everybody pays when I'm sergeant.
Why do you think I asked you?
Oh, absolutely. That's in your email. You don't have to get anything. No.
Not allowed.
You get them. I'm gonna make this really easy, but it's not about trivia. It's about how many colors in a rainbow. How many colors? Wrong. Everybody pays.
That's 7.
So it is 7, but 5 came out first, so everybody pays. We'll make some change for sure.
5 paid yet.
Anybody without a name tag? Put up your hand. Well, they're all supplied for. Nobody's got their name. What about pen? Anybody without a pen?
That's really much.
Anybody that has anybody with 2 pins on or too many on? So everybody pays. We got the rainbow answer wrong. There's one person without their badge, and there's one guy with 2 pins. All right, we'll do that. And the neat thing about it is just because of being an ass today, I'll match what we put in. So you done.
All right.
Oh, well, hold on.
You've done that before.
I think
Here's 20, Sue. Amy, that's me paying you sign.
The 20s that I do that, right? Whoa.
we want your money.
Yeah. That's only fair. And everybody on camera actually owes whatever they can match. Except for Jason, I know he's I can't afford that guy. Do the smile on his face. So I'm gonna let you count that.
All right, I will count it.
And I'll match.
Perfect.
Small change.
That's all right. It all counts.
I put change, but it was $5.
I'm receiving one for $50.
Or do you want me to count it?
I'll count it. Oh, I'm like, listen, I'll count it.
Okay.
All right, Leanna, are you introducing our guests today?
We'll have to go up for a minute.
Yes.
Please go up. I'm spending seed money.
Morning. Thanks for all your
Morning.
help with Zoom, computer and all that stuff. Appreciate it. Around International Women's Day, I made a post about how moved I am every time I walk by the Women of Distinction mural in downtown Bowmanville. It's located on the west wall of the building at 26 King Street East. And I've always loved this impressive work as it showcases women who have been influential in Bowmanville throughout its history to present day. So today I'm very pleased to be able to interview its creator. Please welcome Alan Bender from Blink Studios.
You tell me when you want to share and I'll come.
Mostly just start with wanting to share.
Okay. Oh, sorry. That's what you want.
Yeah, so I'm going through all these.
Alright, so,
Yeah. Full screen?
yeah. Make it a little bigger. There you go.
All right, great, thank you. Well, first of all, just thank you for inviting me, actually. I don't usually get this, usually I got my sort of back to the wall, to you, and I'm on the wall painting. Nobody really noticed me, so who are all you people? My father was a Rotarian way back, way back. And so it's really kind of cool to be here. I want to read what he told me I was supposed to say whenever I thought about Rotarians. Rotary concentrates on 7 areas: promoting peace, improving health through disease prevention and treatment, improving the health of mothers and children, water and sanitation, education, economic development, and supporting the environment. You guys got a lot of work to do. Anyways, I've always thought that was one reason why I've always embraced the Rotary Club, but it's always sort of maintained that kind of perspective. It's very much a community-based organization. And so I really respect who you are and what you folks do. So anyway, that's my start. In terms of this particular mural, this is one of several I have done for communities like Bowmanville. I would call this a heritage mural. And move these now. So in terms of technology, I'm screwed here. So
You.
Are you just trying to advance to the next screen?
yeah, I am.
Next picture?
Yeah, but I'm not really seeing how to do this. But
I imagine it's these arrows right there, probably. Can you click on those
Probably
arrows
you.
there?
Here,
And
no.
move them? I mean, that's- See, that's what I think
Yeah, the
it's probably
IT guy.
that. No?
So I think you're gonna have to, we're gonna share it a different way. And
Yep.
We're gonna go, we're gonna share, you're gonna click on them one by one. No, that's weird. Oh, this. So now it's sharing everything that you've got on your screen, so you can just kind of go through. Just kind of navigate. It's not perfect.
no, it's not gonna work. No.
Let's see. There we go. There you
I
go,
gotta do
Alan.
each time.
Yeah, I think you.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
And everything's. Got all of these you're gonna be showing?
I could, yeah. Or we could just show one and then I could just go on and on. Pictures are always.
Show the one that's up there now. That was kind of green. Is that the one big one that you tried to do?
Yeah, that's probably a good start there. Well, I'm just gonna have to kind of wing it here. Sorry about this. Essentially what it is that I paint a lot of murals that are historical murals that are for specific communities. This is one of 3 that I've done. Bowmanville, Port Union, and then the most recent one is the town that I just moved to, is Belleville. And each of them I'm started to connect to past what we think as the sort of the how the earth was made. And it's going to sound a little bit complex here, but essentially the First Nations folks, and in my case, I'm from around the Belleville area. That's Tyendinaga, that's the Mohawks. Your area around here is more the Anishinaabes and Crows and the other forms of different clans that are around. They all have what is a similar perspective on how the earth was created. And essentially my murals, and this is the first one in that group, is based on that. And the creation story is that it's Sky Woman who essentially made the earth. And I'm sorry that I'm going to go into this basis of it, but just gives you a sense of where not us white folks came from, but what happened before we even got here, and what happened even before the humans got here. So before the humans got here, there was only water and sky, and there was turtles that were floating on the water, but there was no earth. The earth was way down below the water. Up in the sky is Gitche-Manitou and all of those gods that are from this creation story I'm telling. And in that, one of those folks up there was a woman who was looking down into the water or through the clouds, and she was looking down at the water, and she could see a turtle and she could see some birds. She could not see any earth. Somehow, and this story changes depending on what community you're in. The community you're in is different, and I'm talking around this area, than from my community area, which is around Tyendinaga and the Mohawks. They say she fell from the sky. In this area here, they say she was pushed. So either way, this woman was falling from the sky. The birds and the turtle and the otter saw her falling. They said, we have to stop her and we have to help her land. So they flew up, the birds flew up. They helped her land on the back of the turtle. So you can sort of see where I'm going with this. And then once she landed on the back of the turtle, she then said, we now need earth here, and we now need to make a world. Based on that, she then started the rest of I can go on with the story. I don't know if you're familiar with this story. She then, with the help of the turtle, the otter, and several other water animals, they went down below the water level and brought up dirt. They kept bringing up a lot of dirt until they covered all around the edges of the turtle. Once they did that, they then made what we now call North America. So we all live on Turtle Island. So that's the kind of the story of what I was trying to get to. Now, how I got to you here in Bowmanville, so I will try to bring this all around for you. So how this happened was that Bowmanville community had a call for muralists to come and submit proposals. So I submitted a proposal for this particular community saying that I wanted to do a heritage mural and I wanted to celebrate women. And it was based on trying to find as many people within this community who essentially were the women that helped kind of bring it to where it is today. And essentially, I think that's where the Anniversaries came in. So you can sort of see mine a little bit more complex in terms of where you're coming from. I say that there's a lot of women celebrate, and in particular, Sky Woman essentially is representative of all women, or women in particular from the First Nations community, who essentially were the settlers, or the women who were the sort of the stable members of the community. They're the ones that never wanted to go off hunting or wanted to go off to war. They kept the home. They're the ones who kind of ran each other. So essentially, I've always thought that the women are the sort of most significant parts of the community, and I wanted to start. Well, this next series of paintings I'm doing, it's the third one in a row, and I'm now celebrating that. I have other pictures I could show you from my other murals that I'm now doing. The one I just done in Belleville is just a turtle with just the animals on it. In that case, that is all about Sky Woman's creation. And essentially, that's the basis of the creation story. So I don't know what more I can tell you. I don't know if Lynn, you said you had some questions or some,
Sure, yeah.
or maybe other people might want to get going.
Okay, so
I can try to do something.
what? Bring up another.
I'm going to try to, yes. But you can keep talking. I'll
Okay,
do that.
so why do you make this type of art? What was your initial inspiration to go this direction to murals and heritage?
I think the heritage stuff I've been doing for quite a while now, over the last, well, 15, 20 years, actually. I think the focusing on the successful women in our community has happened in the last 10 years. And that's probably based on, whenever I'm doing a lot of my research, or if I'm doing heritage murals about communities, women keep showing up as the leaders in the community, and more predominantly are the ones who are just showing up in me and my research. Maybe I'm seeing it, but it's there for me.
Right. And do you do your murals alone? Is that, for example, that's a scaffold? Are you on the scaffold there?
I know I have a crew. I have a crew that work with me, and this is like a very small mural. So a lot of murals that I'm doing are much larger than this.
Larger than the Women of Distinction one?
Oh yeah.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
That's pretty good.
I've got. This is actually one of the smaller ones. My mural. Most of my murals are. I'll see if I can just find a couple. Sorry for all my fussing here.
Does your art represent something about you in particular, in general? Is there something about the heritage art and this choice of big murals that represent something about yourself?
I probably didn't go down a traditional form of being a painter, because I have come from a fine art background. I started off in television film production. From there, I got into doing large format paintings for restaurants. I don't know if you've ever been to the Toronto Zoo. I paint all of their murals in their backgrounds. So I do a lot of that. So I do a lot of scenic art work for commercial enterprises. Those seem to have gotten me a lot of these murals, which are sort of the paintings I like to do, which is tell stories. So in this case, I'm now painting murals for like the 721 Walkley Dean Iron Workers. I'm sort of doing a celebration of all the construction they've done in Toronto and in the Hamilton area.
And that's you have a video about that.
Yes.
On YouTube, actually.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm also doing several now for military communities, and they want to celebrate some of the people that are in their community. So, yeah. So,
Like Trenton area?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, here you. Right.
Yeah. That's it.
How did you choose the women on here? I mean, I went through the thing.
Yeah.
And how did you choose the women, and did it have to be approved? Talk about the process.
Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah. There were several that were suggested to me, as well as I had some. I'm actually quite familiar with Captain Ida Hind from the Salvation Army. So she was the first person in the community who thought, oh, you know, I like to put her in it. And then I thought, oh, no, there's several others. And then I was directed to your Heritage Museum community. And there was several listed there. I got some names by way of Sarah Allen and several people that are kind of enthusiastic, people from the community who then gave me some suggested names. I then, with that list, I put together and then submitted as a proposal to a specific committee, and then they approved and disapproved.
You have to show the mock-up of the drawing.
Yes.
To that committee.
Yeah, and that first photograph you saw was my mock.
Right, okay.
So I, with that mock-up, and then the list of each of who the proposed portraits are going to be, that was all approved by a committee.
People reach out to you, towns all over Canada,
That's what I'm
all over
doing
the
now.
world, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. Actually, I got some stuff in Australia now. I'm actually, I just got back from Sweden. Where I'm doing
Wow.
some community work there. Yeah. In those cases, I'm working with street artists, so they sort of invite me, and then when we're there, we kind of put a concept together, and then first over in Sweden now we're dealing with the concerns they have going across the other side of the Baltics there, but still pretty cool stuff. Yes, sir.
Actually, from those women, I recognize one, Marie Hubbard.
Yes.
She was a mayor years ago, and she was quite a character. Now, my question is, can you talk about the mechanics, the process of how you actually create something like that? I'm talking about everything from how do you treat against the wall if you paint it right on the wall, or sometimes I guess they paint it on boards and then kind of nail it on the wall. What's the process?
In this particular case, it was a brick wall, which I then, just as if I was priming a canvas, I prime it with a high-end primer. So it's going to be a white wall. I then use overhead projector, and at night. So sorry, that once I've got that approved design that we just talked about, so I now have an approved design. The committee's approved. I can then take that once my wall is prepared, any damage done prepared. I will then at night use an overhead projector, and I can project it right on the wall. And then myself and several other artists, what we do is we call with blocking in. So essentially, I block it in with two colors. So I get a darkest tone and a mid-tone, so I can get all of the features, everything established in place. And then once it's all in place, then I spend the next 3 to, in this case, 5 weeks painting it. So by then, once a lot of the large things like the skies and the mid-ground and the foreground, a lot of that I'm not using projector. I'm just painting based on what I want to have there. And then anything that's really specific, I do with projector.
And how long is it expected to last? I presume you treat it with something at the end.
Yeah. Well, it's just like regular house paint, because a lot of this is house paint. It'll last 10 plus years. I've got artworks now that are 20 years old, and I go back once in a while, and I just touch up the reds and the greens because they get faded out. But other than that, if it's a good substrate, the surface that I'm painting on, and I put in a proper primer that's very adhesive, then my murals can last longer than me. And sometimes I put a clear coat on it, sometimes I do not. Some of the communities that I'm involved with have a lot of graffiti problems. So what they'll do is that they'll ask you to put on a clear coat protective anti-graffiti clear coat. Very expensive, kind of works, but it's still, it's the graffiti problem itself. Painting over it doesn't help the problem.
Are there any questions for anybody online either? Or?
Do you have a dream project, something that you've always wanted to do, a building you've always wanted to paint? You often go by buildings that have a blank wall and think, oh, I want to put something there.
That's actually interesting. This last one I did for Belleville, I did want to do it. I got to do it. So I'm now at a point now where I can sort of pick and choose. I'm I kind of call myself semi-retired, but not really. I just can be very, very selective about what I can do. And they are the dream projects.
Is that right? Oh, amazing. Good for you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, was there an official opening for the one here? Has there been
no.
one, or are they gonna have one, or?
Well, I don't think they did. That was probably because this was done in the midst of COVID.
Oh, I see.
This was done 2020, and I know that we were wearing masks most of the time we were doing it.
Yeah, the town should have something. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's a big deal.
We were-
And
we were-
I
we were-
think
we
that-
were good. Actually,
I was really surprised that
one thing I can say about your community, very friendly, very open, very coming forth with compliments instead of commentary while we're painting it. Because and like I was, joking when I first started, but I spend most of my time with my back to you, painting on walls, so I hear everything going on behind me, so you can kind of get a sense of what the community is about. And the community is very proud of itself, which is kind of cool here.
Do you choose a location or does the community tell you?
No, that was a wall that was available. So the building owner, and I think there were several other buildings in the community that were kind of available. And I asked for that one, said, let me have that one.
Well, Alan, it made me really happy when I first saw Marie Hubbard up there. It's not
Oh,
only
yeah.
was she a good mayor and a nurse, she was a den mother for me and a bunch of my pals
Oh,
growing up,
wow. Yeah.
and a mentor in the first 3 or 4 years of my career. So it was nice to see her there.
Yeah. Wow.
She lived across from you, didn't she?
Yeah. And we spent all of our days there.
Oh, even better.
Have you had a really memorable response to any of your work? Something that really either pleased you or that you were taking some criticism?
Okay.
Or a memorable response to it?
Yeah, well, then this has got nothing to do with humans, so there. I do a lot of work at the Toronto Zoo.
Yeah.
And my objective is to paint a background that you don't really see. So in other words, when you, the viewer, comes up to, let's say in this case, it's a primate exhibit. So, and I've got my jungle at the background, and there's going to be all kinds of trees and stuff. You should be looking at the little animal and not really saying, "Oh, isn't this a lovely painting?" You should be just that. The objective is for me to suspend disbelief, so that when you walk up to the exhibit, is that it's all about you are now in the jungle. That's what's my objective. So if I can get that, I know I've attained something. So in this particular case, these were primates that hadn't been in the exhibit. They were taken out of the exhibit, and they had to be over and where and they're like waiting area. Not very, very pleasant for them. So we painted the mural, all set up for them. They all came in, and they came in and they tried to climb up my trees with the paint on the wall. I can't say it was much better than that. So I do get a lot of that.
I'm gonna go back to the zoo now.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
I think Pauline's waving around.
Oh, yeah, all right.
You're on mute, Pauline.
Hi, this is really fabulous. It's absolutely marvelous. It just stops you in your socks to look at it. I'm wondering, do you ever use the same concept in another town? Could we see this mural with different characters anywhere else, or is it completely unique to Bowmanville?
I think in terms of the portraits I put in are those people, but I don't know if you can sort of see the other picture I have up there. I've got my turtle motif going now. And this is the one that I've done since the Bowmanville one now is called Turtle Island. And it has those characters on that turtle's back, and they are, in this case, the animals, so the bear,
Yeah.
the wolves. And so there'll probably be another one. I don't know where it's going to be, but it'll definitely be about Turtle Island.
I think it's fabulous. I'd like to see them in every town.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Have you done any because you have quite a feeling for Indigenous culture. Have you done any in any Indigenous, any First Nations? Have they reached out to you to?
I painted some teepees up in Roseneath.
Okay.
I also no, not so much actually. No. I'm an old white guy. I don't really like it. Saying.
Well, yeah, so I was asking that.
Yes, no, but some of my best friends that I write with, we're all Mohawk folks.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad question, actually, leading into a question. So as this was developed, you talked about you communicating with the community, the museum board, or whoever was making the decision. With this sort of motive, there might be some concern about cultural appropriation or something like that, making sure that it's really respectful. Did you bring the Mississaugas of First Nation in to make sure that it
I
was
started there.
beauty? Okay.
I started. There. That's what I'm saying. I wasn't able to find any First Nations women though within this community. Hence the sort of the more generalized perspective, and also bringing in the sky woman. In fact, that probably brought me to the sky woman concept in the first place.
Excellent.
Do you have a, oh, sorry. No. Do you have a favorite artwork, something, another artist?
Another artist?
A favorite artist, that another Canadian artist that you really like and admire, that you inspired you at
Alex
all?
Colville.
Alex, oh, isn't he? No,
Just sort of came to mind.
Bowmanville, yeah.
when you were young, did an artist inspire you, or?
Well, I always have, but anybody who's I like realist painters, so I never really went down the abstract perspective. And anybody who's prolific, and there was several of them. All right.
Unless you have no talent, I always appreciate somebody who does.
That's all I can do.
So Amy, how much did we pay Steve for?
$80. I rounded, it was about 83, but you know, you never know. Well, 80 is good, so thank you for that.
Thank you, everybody else.
Happy bucks.
Can I go first?
Yes,
Yes, I
of
just
course.
threw an $80.
You just threw an $80.
No one else has any money.
Well, you can thank me for that. Steve. Hopefully this money goes to good use in our general account and have some fun with it. So, thanks to everybody for contributing and having a little bit of fun with that. We've been together forever, and I'm sure I would have spent that over the last 2 years for sure. More on the sad side of it, not everybody's heard about Ellie Brooks. Ellie's been admitted to St. Mike's for some surgery. She's had some bowel problems and rushed to St. Mike's on Friday. She's had 2 surgeries. She's had a blood transfusion and now has COVID. So no visitors. But I do understand she's replying to email and text.
Yes.
I've been back and forth with Jude, her best friend, who I know well also. But I think I'll reach out to her. Just send her a quick message and a hello. And if I can get a picture of all of us before we leave. And if you haven't signed the card, please do. We'll make sure she gets it. And I think we can all wave to Ellie from a bit of a distance without having to drive the same way. So let's get a picture before we leave.
Yep.
Do you guys have a dog?
Yeah,
Yeah, you has her doll.
I asked for Jude also. So.
Okay.
Yeah, happy bucks.
Do that
I got
for
it.
your first question.
Yeah, we offered it.
Okay, I still got some change left that Steve didn't rob me of. I'm just happy I'm back playing golf again.
I don't have much because Steve took my other, but anyways, I just wanted to tell you a little more about Ellie. She's doing a project for Feed the Need, organizing data. I've had to tell her all weekend, would you stop? We have some other people to, we're doing it. It's like a donor appreciation. She's laying in her hospital bed with a computer trying to organize data. That's Ellie.
Yeah, that is actually.
She's- I'm surprised.
Pauline waving her hand.
Okay.
But I have 7 happy bucks, and that is for all 7 of the district awards that our friends at Sunday won at their, I guess it was last week at their district conference. They won 7 awards, which was great, including Immersion Club of the Year and a whole bunch that I assume we have the same type of thing. Anyway, I'm pleased to be able to report that. Also a reminder, if you want to go to the conference, it's this weekend. You've heard me go on and on and on about it. I hope to see you.
Joe was clearly in radio, standing in the worst possible spot for the camera.
Okay, sorry. Yeah,
Joe, you made the comment, you're assuming that our district also has an award thing.
yeah, we do.
The answer is yes, we do.
Yeah.
Ron Dick sent a message out asking people to look at the list of awards and to make recommendations of who could get.
Okay, yeah, we've won them. I know, I didn't know if we had the same like emerging.
More or less, because they're recommended. by
Yeah.
RI.
Okay. Anyway, there you go. John, I'll see you at the conference.
Absolutely.
And Renee and Rachel.
Okay, Pauline.
Okay, I'm happy to announce the celebrations.
Oh, right, birthdays and anniversaries. Oops, it was on my list.
Oh, was it? Okay, well, this very day, Lloyd Rang is celebrating, and since he's not here, I'm going to say he's 54 years of age. Happy birthday, Lloyd. And later this week, Bonnie Cito is celebrating her birthday. Bonnie works in Toronto, and we don't see Bonnie very often, but she is coming to the Paul Harris Fellow Night, so it'll be nice to have Bonnie in our midst again. We don't have any anniversaries to celebrate, but service above self, and we talked about Ellie, and Ellie is celebrating 5 years of service above self. We have Rebecca Grieve celebrating 2 years of service above self, and she joined at the same time as Keith Hill, also 2 years. So congratulations, everybody.
Any other happy birthdays? Steve took all our money. Okay, so some of the announcements have already been said. Ted has books, history books, Bowmanville Rotary history books. And how many do you have, Ted?
None. Steve, or Susan for two members.
Oh, perfect. Very good.
So I don't-
You might need to see those. Something else.
Is that the last one? I think it was
2007. 17.
Yeah.
So, and in the mail this week, we received, I'll read it out to you. On behalf of the Government of Ontario, I extend my sincere congratulations to the Rotary Club of Bowmanville on receiving the Member of Provincial Parliament's Community Builder Award from Lindsay Park. So we received that this week. So thank you very much, Lindsay, for acknowledging the work that we're doing. Mossport. So I know Rebecca's still looking for volunteers for the May long weekend. I tried to reach out. Is there actual shifts? Like, is it like a time to time?
So there is.
Your shifts.
You can let her know your availability. She now has a schedule. She's using the same schedule that Jason sent in a couple of years earlier.
Okay.
So you can let her know mornings are better or afternoons are better. But preferably let her know how many shifts you can do, what day you can do, and whether you're, if you have a preference, maybe let her know.
Do we know? I don't know if I asked, if like, how old do you have to be?
You just have to have a license.
Yeah,
Okay, so G2 is good? All right. well-
18. They want 18.
Oh, okay, so that's not.
Bonnie
And
and
the driver's license, the driver's license.
about 10 volunteers from Wilmot Creek.
Well, they're good at driving golf carts.
That's true.
Yeah, so I had most of my, so my apologies to the board that I had to reschedule the board meeting. Having kids and a husband that shift works is, tricky sometimes. So we're hoping to do it next week. We'll make sure that we can actually get quorum before we make sure that we schedule something, because might as well have the quorum. Again, if you've not reached out to Pauline about Paul Harris Fellow Night, which is May the 25th, which is the Wednesday night at the Port of Newcastle, replacing our Thursday night evening meeting. So there's no Thursday evening that week. It's going to be the Wednesday night. Looks like a fantastic night, but we'd like to get as many members there as we can. It's $35. It's cocktails, hors d'oeuvres, you know, should be hopefully not as long as Curtis's night. So, yeah. Was there any other announcement, Rachel?
Wayne's celebration of life.
Wayne's Celebration of Life is the 22nd.
So it's
29th.
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 29th at the BOAA, and I believe it's 2 to 4.
Correct.
2 to
Right.
4 BOA on the 29th, the Sunday.
Right. Which is also the same night, same afternoon as the Curtis is doing a euchre tournament.
Yeah, 2 to 4 p.m.
So, all right. Any other announcements that I've probably forgotten? And birthdays and anniversaries was on there, Pauline. I just totally skipped it over. All right. Well, if there's who, John.
It's short and sweet. The Rotary way is to light a candle. I light one, you light one. 1.2 million Rotarians light one, and we light up the world.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming. I know it's a little briefer today, but that suits my schedule just fine and dandy. All right. If there's nothing else to go to Rotary, and I look forward to seeing. I'm only going to be at district conference on Friday night. I'm coming for the fun part. So yeah. So I look forward to seeing you, and I'll see you again our next meeting is next Tuesday morning here, 7:30. Come in person if you can. Thank you.
Can I get a